Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be laying out a change OG offset. This week I've zoomed the camera in a little bit more on the drawing so that you can see the drawing a little better. Still a little bit light, but I think this is about as good as I'm going to be able to get this to get it laid out. I sent you guys a drawing, two different drawings of what this fitting is, and again we're going to use the Budzik book to lay this out. The size of this thing is going to will be a 6x4 to a 4x4. It'll have a 3-inch offset. So the first things we're going to do is we're going to establish points A, B, C, and D. So first things we're going to do, and again I laid this thing out at 8 inches. Technically you should probably drop it back a half of an inch on each side, which will make it 7 inches, so that when you add your drives to it that it would make it an 8. But in this case here I made it a full 8 inches, as you can see, and I just added a half of an inch for the drive edge to be put on the ends. So the first thing I do to establish A, B, C, D, and E is I come over 8 inches, I find a point that is parallel to the base, I come over 8 inches to point B, I come up from point B to point C, which is the 3-inch offset that we're looking for. I put a point there, and then I put a point 6 inches from that up to point D. Okay, so then next thing I do is I'll come in here with my square, and I will come up and get point E on my book, using the T-square, coming up, square it up, and get point E. So I have those points. So there we have it. We got points A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to bisect line AE. From here to here we want to find the center point. We can do that by swinging 2 arcs from these points and getting the center point, or you can measure it. We know since that's 4 that that's going to be 2 inches. And then what we want to do is set our dividers at point A to this point right here, and that's going to be point F. And I did not mark that on this drawing, but that's point F. But set the dividers from point A to F, and I'm going to come up here at point C, and I'm going to swing an arc. So I'm coming up 2 inches. Then I'm going to come from D down to this, and that's going to be set that points right there. So this here this is not bisected in half. It's bisected. It's got the same offset on both ends. Okay, so now I'll connect these 2 lines from F, and we'll go ahead and mark these H, and mark this one G. This is the way it's marked in your handouts in your book. So the next thing that we're going to do, let's see, is we're going to bisect that line. Next thing we're going to do is we'll start from the bottom side here. We're going to bisect line F and G. We're going to bisect that line, and we're also going to bisect line F and H. And so we've done that, and I've put a point at J and I. Again, you can use your compass, and you can set it past at least halfway past, anywhere past half. Swing an arc from there. Swing an arc from the other side, and then connect those 2 arcs together, and that'll give you the center of it. Once we've bisected this line FG, we're going to have point I. We've bisected line FH. We got J as a center point. Once we've done that, we want to bisect these 2 lines again from I to G, and we also want to bisect line J to H. And that's how we're going to establish the throat portion of this on this side, and then the heel portion from this side. So when I bisect I and G, we come off this perpendicular, and again we can do that when we bisect that line. We can do it with our compasses going half past. You can see that in in the handout that I give you. And we're going to bring that arc down, that line down, until it intersects with the end line. Okay, so we bring that down here, and it looks like it's intersected down here at point K for this line here. And then when we bisected it, come off 90 degrees perpendicular to it, we come over here to point N. Okay, so there we go. We have this side of it laid out to bisect that part, so we can swing these two arcs. So the next thing I do is I'll come here and I will set my trammel points from point K to C, and I'll swing an arc. Okay. Okay, then I'll take from the other point. On the last one that we did, we only had one line going through the center, so we only had to use one apex point for both the throat and the heel side of this. But for the ones that change in sizes, we have to do the two different apex points. So for the heel side of this, we'll come up here to where line JH has been intersected, the end line, and we're going to swing the arc from that point. So moving up to N, and we swing that arc, and as you can see, that starts from right here at point D, and we swing the arc, and you can go a little further down, because what you're going to want to end up doing, these two are going to come up and they're going to run tangent to each other. I go ahead while I'm here and I open it up another 1/4 of an inch to get my line that I'm going to be using my easy edger on, and I also swing that line. Next thing I do, we come back to the other side of it from point J to F. Okay, from line J to F, we bisect that line. We're going to run a perpendicular up to the end line to point number N, and that's going to give me the throat side of this cheek. And so we've done that, and then from point I to F, we bisect that line, we square off from it, and we're going to have point L. So we've, from this end line here, we got point M, and we got point L. So from point M, we come up here, start at the E, and if we've laid this out, these two lines, when you bring them up, as you can see, they run tangent to each other. Okay, and I go ahead and put my line in for my 1/4 inch easy edge, and as you can see, that tangent's off also. Looks like they're tangenting about right here. Okay, so then the next thing we do, we're going to run from point L to A, set our dividers, or trammel points in this case. We're going to swing the arc, and where that line tangents is an intersection point. And if you get it just right, they don't actually intersect, they'll actually just touch. That would be a perfect layout if that's the way it goes. And then I go ahead and open it up another 1/4. And so now I've got the layout of my cheek. I come in here and I'm going to add the 1/2 inch for my drive here. Then I add another 1/2 inch down here for my drive to get the to add for my connector allowance. The next thing what I do in a shop atmosphere, I would go ahead and form this cheek up, and I would go ahead and form the easy edge up on this cheek, and I would take a strip of metal, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and I would run it in, and I would mark that piece of metal to get my stretch out. On the handouts that I give you, AutoCAD will give you that arc length of where it actually touches and give you a length there, so you do have the links on that. So again, I think there's a math formula for these. It's a little complicated. If you off a little bit on your layout and this is a little bit wide or longer, the strip method that you use and you mark, it works out really well. Make sure on your strip, whenever you stretch that around that curve, that you mark where it changes directions, because this thing is going to roll this way up to this point, and then when you get to that point and you've got a mark on your heel pattern, then you're going to pull it out of the back, it out of the rows, and you're going to put it in the other way, and you're going to roll it different. And as you can see, the radius on the throat here is a lot more than the heel is right here. Okay? The two stretch outs are different. As you can see, that stretch out does not look like this one's a little flatter. If you looked at it, this offset up here is almost, well, 6 and 3 is 9. So this offset is actually moving 5 inches, so it's triangulated against a longer distance. So it will be two different wrapper patterns. I did not have room on this small drafting board to put both patterns on. Again, what I would do for the bottom side is I would put a strip. I would cut that same 1/4 inch strip. I'd put it in here, get the length of it. I would mark it, and then I would mark the strip where the actual row changes directions to the other way, and I would mark that on my Pittsburgh pattern. This pattern here, you can see I've got the Pittsburghs marked. You can see where I've got it rolled this way, and you can see how the row actually shows going the opposite directions as I wrote down here, roll down, and I've got this in here as roll up. That's pretty much it. It lays out a little bit like the other one. There isn't the extra step on it, since it is a different size on the cheeks, is that you do have to add a second line here. Okay, had this been 8 inches, we still would have had this 2 inches here, and we would have come up from the 8 inches down to get the 2 inches there. So that's it. It's pretty fun fitting. Airflow on these work really well. It's like putting two elbows back to back. This is a little more air friendly for air movement than a straight offset would be. And so a lot of times this is in short fittings, this is the way to go to keep your airflow from getting turbulent. Thanks a lot. I'm going to post this on YouTube. Hopefully I can get it on there tonight, and then I will be sending the link to you, and you guys need to watch it. I'm going to do a little 10-question questionnaire, or 8 questions about the layout. You answer those, you send it back, and you get 100. So that's it. Make sure you wash your hands, make sure you social distance, and stay safe. Bye.